Namaste, Galactic family. Welcome back to the channel, IndigoAngel. Come on into this dimension and come on into this sacred container today, where we're going to dive into some deep subject matter that I think is really relevant to the current times and what people are experiencing at this time. Well, in truth, are experiencing all the time, but in general, this time of year, I think the realizations around these things definitely really get activated. And that's just kind of the reality of spiritual warfare and all of the interdimensional chaos that's ensuing and basically going crazy on the planet at this time. So I'm here to talk to you today with my good friend Sethicus from Black Earth Productions. You guys know who he is. He's been on my channel before. Twice already. We've had a couple go rounds with some really deep topics. So I'm just so happy that you're back and you're here.
Excellent.
And how are you doing?
How am I doing? I'm kicking life's ass, despite the things that I think we're going to be getting into. And it is all across the board, whether people are conscious of it or not. And most of it is an unconscious current that if you're not able to detect it, it is running your ass on an unconscious, subconscious level. So to dive into the topic today, I agreed to come on with you. And I think it's going to be very powerful what we're able to touch upon because knowing about a thing isn't the same as actually experiencing it. And when you actually experience a thing and know the depths of a thing, and then you're able to come through it on the other side and actually have clarity and context to what we're getting to be getting into. I know that there's a lot more people out there that are experiencing this and they don't even know what the fuck is going on. Okay. And I just released a segment called Chaos versus Catharsis, the thin red line. And that was also timely as I was prompted to put that out. That had been
Mhm.
sitting on the shelf for a while, but it's going to correlate everything that we get into today. So this is going to be good. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you said people don't realize that it's going on, it kind of, I feel like it disguises itself. It comes through the guises of um maybe just feeling victimized by your manifestation or by reality or feeling chastisement by God or whatever it is. But there's this like, or
Well,
just
where
feeling
do you
like
think
you're
all that?
always getting attacked. Like people are always getting attacked or saying, my protections aren't working at this time. You know what I mean? And distrust in the spiritual realm. I've encountered that a lot as well.
Yeah,
So,
I did listen to one of your reports, like a little bit of it. I can absolutely confirm the things that you were picking up on in terms of the psychic field.
mhm,
One thing I don't like about the template when it comes to who I am is actually being fucking psychic, because you can't turn it the fuck off. It's a bit of a gift and a curse at the same time. And when it comes to this specifically, people need to recognize the nature of hyperdimensional warfare and the tactics that your fucking enemy, the enemy of soul itself,
mhm,
implements to get you to second guess, to get you to doubt yourself, to get you to, see things from a skewed point of view. And as far as black magic is concerned, this entire fucking realm is saturated with it. But people call it normal. This is just how it
yeah.
is, and we can see the mind control being implemented, especially with the youth and the generation coming up, and the direction that they're fucking going. It's absolutely fucking insane. It's worse than even when we were younger. You know what I'm saying? Not like everyone was on track.
Yeah.
This specific type of fucking programming, but this is left wing communist shit that is being implemented, and it does have a dark occult current to it in context to what I'm getting at. And if people don't have that sort of discernment, if they're miseducated, if they're ill-informed, and especially if they don't know how things actually
Mhm,
work,
mhm.
you don't have a standing fucking chance in terms of what's being implemented on top of what's coming, which is going to get fucking worse if people don't wake the fuck up. I'm not sugarcoating anything.
Yeah.
It's all about seeing things for what it is and having a sober point of view. Okay, what are we going to do? What needs to be the thing that we need to be focused on in the midst of all of the flaming fucking arrows that are coming at your mind, that are coming at your heart, circumstances, people, whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't matter. You have to recognize it for what it is. And those of us that, chose this path, this is a part of the path. It's always been a part
Yes.
of the path in terms of incarnation here. So if you can't take the heat, get the fuck off the goddamn field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the
And
heat being turned up.
well, I want to say you're really speaking to my core right now. Like,
Mhm.
and this is the first time we've done a show where I can say, like, wow, I'm really dialed in. Like, I'm just so in alignment with what you're saying because I really noticed that within the spiritual community, there's a lot of veils, I think, that people are still working through in terms of their third eye and just their crown chakra and their total knowing and understanding of these things, right? For one, they're having to filter through all of the controlled narratives and controlled oppositions and um, particular groups that like to implement the satanic agendas, the Anunnaki agendas. And this is kind of the
Even
majority.
fucking glorify it as if it's the actual truth in terms of the
Yeah.
origins of mankind and they're the fucking gods and all this fucking bullshit. Um,
And these
that's
agendas are
that's
so
one fact.
insidious. They're so insidious that they come in the guises of light.
Mhm.
They come in the guises of community and people you know, in which um, might get you on board to something, right? Or comes through a trusting door. Like I've seen great Zeta aliens literally come through people, like, and they don't even know that they're in their field. They're being projected through,
Yeah.
and they're
They're
infiltrating.
phasing in and you can see it psychically, energetically in terms of frequency and vibration, correct? You have the gift.
Yes,
You have the
yes.
gift of foresight.
Yes. And
Um,
the level of abduction that the Greys are doing here is absolutely insane. I could go into that, but I feel like that's a whole nother gamut of this spiritual warfare topic that we're getting into today. And I just want to clarify that for everyone watching. We're talking about spiritual warfare. We're talking about the battle, spiritual battle that we're all dealing with through the ascension cycles. We're talking about the war over consciousness. And we're talking about the negative alien agendas ultimately that are here and that humanity is fighting through and against, which is coming through mind control. It's coming through soul possession and it's coming through the war over God. I mean, really, that's kind of my take on this.
See that,
Like,
and that's a paradox in terms of the veils because of what's been implemented, and depending on what grid work of consciousness people are keyed into, when new information that I'm going to say this, when new information is presented that either challenges or contradicts a specific point of view or belief system, if you want to know the actual truth, you have to consistently put your point of view on the chopping block. Okay. And
mm,
if something's actually true, it's going to stand that cosmic axe coming down on it, right? If it's not, then you need to be willing to let it go. Okay. And I think that's a lot of the things that people could be dealing with that cling on. And I speak about this in terms of the grand cycle and where things are. Okay. The Ragnarok, in terms of the tradition of my ancestors, what it explains about the death of Balder and Balder being symbolism of the human soul. Unless all of creation cries out for Balder, Hyrroken will continue the funeral pyre of Balder. And that is what we have seen manifest in our world again since 2020. Okay. You can take it
mhm,
back to 9/11 or World War II or whatever. It's just a repeat of the same fucking cycle again and again and again, repackaged, okay, on a different spoke within this great wheel of the Ouroboros, the lockdown
mhm.
equation, the actual fucking trapezoid. Okay. And most of humanity, as I've said on my platform, stands at the first veil. Now, me and my kind, I would say even you yourself have pierced the veils a little bit further, a little bit deeper. Okay. They can't even accept the fact that government is fucking slavery. And people want to go on and on and on about all this geopolitics shit and have discussions about it. There is no fucking discussion. Government is fucking slavery, period. Okay. The king of tyranny, programming, and all that different kind of shit. And the way that they're able to implement mind control by giving people the illusion of choice. Okay. I knew this shit well over 20 years ago now. How the fuck people can't catch it or see it for what it is at this point, let alone within the spiritual community, and people want to get in arguments about
Yeah.
ideologies and all this different kind of fucking shit that they don't even have the correct framework knowing how things actually work in terms of spirituality, let alone reality.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is specific knowledge. Okay. And the accumulation of knowledge and knowing about all of these different things, again, we have it at our fucking fingertips. But as far as I'm concerned, has created a bit more uh disillusion and confusion as a cause point for chaos magic in the fucking realm, and people don't have viable proper knowledge and wisdom that actually gives them the ability to navigate these times.
Well, I
Okay.
wonder if there's a couple thing that's coming to mind for me. For one, I think, and this is what I've just been coming to recently within my own spiritual understanding, is that the fall of man is at like the peak of the entirety of this. Like the belief that man is actually
Correct.
fallen and that there's like a fallen program that's actually sitting over humanity, basically, similarly to the crucifixion, wounding, and all of this. But it's deeper
Think
than
about
that.
how
It
many
goes further
people
than
have
that.
co-signed that narrative, right?
Right.
That idea. Okay. And you need to understand something about parasitic consciousness. The most resilient parasite is a fucking idea. Because again, it's all about our state of mind. This is why they do mind control. And the main mechanism for that is the mainstream media, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Now, in light of what you wanted me to get into with you, I did a little bit of digging just to have some, reference material to, correlate what we're touching upon and the actual reality. I can again make correlations to the mythos and a lot of other things that people are into. And that's the other factor. Everybody out there, for the most part, is dealing with fragments. Okay. Being able to access the true records in context to a mente is the path work that I teach. Okay. But before I go go off on a fucking rabbit trail in terms of that, I want to explain some things that I did observe in the Ascension glossary, to reference what we're talking about here. Okay. And I have all my source material in the Black Earth library. It's over 6 terabytes. It's a lot as far as the mystery school is concerned that people can look into for themselves. I don't want anybody out there just to take my word for anything, but genuinely look into these matters for yourself and then see how it correlates even your own experience. You know, think for yourself, question everything, and put what you assume to know on the fucking chopping block. Because if it's not true, why would you want to cling on to it? But that's what the fuck happens, Amanda. They cling on to these ideologies and then they get dragged through the fucking shadowlands with them.
Well, it's
Okay.
really out of fear, isn't it? I mean, I think everybody's still operating from that place, even on a spiritual level.
Mm.
I can't tell you the abundance of people that I speak with daily and regularly that, they're in fear and there's so much,
Yep.
they're in fear of what's unknown within spirituality.
Fear of the unknown, right?
Mhm.
And without having the courage to embrace the unknown, you're not going to evolve. You get caught, triangulated, locked the fuck down, and then dragged because you're not willing to let things go.
Mhm.
And in context of alchemy, learning the arts, knowing how to transmute and alchemize fear into courage. We're going to experience fear here, but what is all fear based upon? Death, not surviving, non-existence.
Well, and I think that the powers that be as well,
They're
especially,
projecting that as well. Them.
well, with
They're projecting that into the field because that is what they are.
right.
First and
And
foremost.
but the Metatronic thing, right? The whole Metatronic, the whole Tothian stuff, like all of that. I think there's a lot of people who question that, right? Like, do I work with this? Do I not? Like it goes back to these like fundamental things like
Mhm.
um and I'm recognizing this really has to do with people having very weakened connections to themselves and knowing who they are and very weakened
Right,
connections with source and the creator
right. Higher
and the
force.
power of the eternal.
Right.
right? And so,
And that is the key at the basis of foundation. Without that, good luck piercing the veils. Good luck integrating higher awareness consciousness, or let alone being able to acknowledge what the fuck is actually happening in the reality field. And then you just get caught again in all the net traps and snares and assumptions and opinions about a thing, and you
mhm,
don't know your right hand from the left, let alone your fucking ass. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I've said, we are living in confusing times, but all of
right,
this is happening on purpose in terms of chaos to throw the realm into fucking chaos.
yeah,
And again, the definition of chaos is complete and total disillusion and confusion. When someone is in fear overtly, they're in the throes of confusion, and
yeah,
they're not able to organize or see clear or move through or navigate. Does that make sense?
yeah. And the point I want to make with this too is I think for people at this point in time, what's going to help them the most when it comes to dealing with the reality of spiritual warfare on a global level, a collective level, an individual level, a personal level, all these different universal level, cosmic level, whatever, is to accept where we're actually at spiritually, is to accept that what your reality is actually showing you.
Mhm.
Right. And this is like where I wanted to kind of get in with you too, is like the denial.
Yeah.
Okay, we can blame it on the higher conscious community. We can blame it on the Tothian groups and the distortions and the mind control psyops and campaigns and the MK Ultra and the artificial intelligence.
Absolutely.
But it's like,
That's all major factors in context of the manipulation of why people can't make that fucking connection. It's all out. It's all out, and
yeah,
it's not to deny that. It's to actually acknowledge that, because if you can't and you're like,
right.
"Oh, that's bullshit," you're a fucking idiot. Okay? People can't see it by now, and that may sound harsh, okay? But you have to understand how the higher force has been working to get our fucking attention, and at this point, it's not gonna be kind about it, because if we don't cross these fucking thresholds, okay, in terms of the collective, and it's going down the goddamn fucking tank even worse than it was, okay? Being in denial of that, and then you wanna go off in the fucking la la land in some false ascension fucking timeline with the Pleiadians or the fucking angels or
Right.
whatever the fuck. We are meant to anchor the higher here in this
Yeah.
realm. That is what true ascension requires,
And it's
okay?
also not really holding ourselves accountable when we do
No,
that
it's
to
not.
our own,
No, because that
um, yeah, because I
it
think
goes
what
into
this
the statement.
requires, it requires us to adapt and it requires us to change our perspective. We have to change our perspective of how we approach our lives, our reality, our relationships.
Mhm.
Um, and especially if we want to continue to be in spiritual leadership roles, right? Because I think that's where a lot of us are growing into.
Yeah.
Um,
And a lot of that is being challenged right now because we are crossing that threshold. Recognize that when warfare kicks up, it's because you're about to go to the next level. If you take the opportunity to rise
mm,
the fuck up through it, otherwise you go down with it. And fear is the main tactic. Fear, again,
mhm,
as I've explained, is not and fear is not a human emotion. It's a spiritual force, a lesser
mhm.
force that is invoked, that is conjured, and then set forth and targeting the templating and how the biology correlates to things on a multidimensional level. Again, this is why I encourage people to take actual initiation into the occult, because without the foundation of proper knowledge and wisdom, all of this other stuff is not going to be able to be navigated correctly, and you're going to hit that fucking wall and you get spit the fuck back out, and then you're wondering, why aren't things moving forward? Why does it seem that people aren't fucking getting it? And people want to split hairs on this shit, Amanda. That's the other thing. They want to get into fucking uh debates. When one person sees a 6, the other person sees a 9. And that's how triangulation happens, because
Yeah.
they don't have a 360-degree view
Well,
of
let's
what's
maybe
really
speak to
going
that really
on.
quickly. Let's speak
Yeah.
to what triangulation is and how it infiltrates us, because me and you have both experienced triangulation. Um, and that trying to come into our friendship, right? And this happens to everybody.
It's a tax because
Yeah,
they don't want certain people communicating, coming together because of the potential for something greater to be implemented or potentially fucking manifest. I know how it goes in group dynamics. And if people aren't doing the real work, I guarantee you eventually all the fucking shit comes flying the fuck out.
yeah,
It's like that. You know, you can have a good vision, you can, set forth things with good intention and stuff like that. Okay. But if you're really working to implement change in the realm on this fucking level, you can expect warfare. And not being able to discern it
yes,
energetically in terms of frequency and vibration, one of the tactics that these fucking entities implement is to get you to assume that what you're dealing with is the other fucking person without first checking yourself and then go into some kind of psychological fucking projection, plaguing the fucking victim, pointing the fucking finger, all this
mhm,
different kind of shit. And I've said this since
yeah.
2020. Everybody's going to have to face the magic mirror gate, but that gate specifically is showing you everything that you are not. That you have co-signed the narrative in terms of your fucking identity, which is going into its death throes, and that's all the gnashing of the teeth and the fucking bullshit, right?
And just to be clear, like it comes in through your most closest interpersonal relationships. This is how it comes in. It comes in and attacks you in all of your vulnerable places, all
Yep.
of your weaknesses within those relationships, all of the weaknesses within your own heart and soul. Okay, the things you're trying to overcome within yourself.
Yep.
And that's where the parasite likes to insert itself, lodge itself, basically, and starts to feed off of you and starts to slowly break you down. That's what it likes to do. It likes to
Drip.
break you down.
It's a drip. It's on a drip, right? It's not so obvious, because if it was obvious, then you'd be able to see it for what it is, hopefully, But people are first eye blind.
Mhm.
They're third eye blind, and the third eye is directly
Yes.
to the first eye.
I
You
was
have
going to ask you about
physical eye.
that because ever since you told me that in the last show we did, I've been quoting the first eye is the heart, and I love it so much. What's the second eye? Is that because we have
Your
first,
your
second,
physical
third,
eyes. Your physical eyes.
physical eyes.
What
Okay, that's
what
what I
would be
thought.
what I correlate to be the second eye, and then the third eye, of course, is the pineal. But the pineal is directly connected to the lens of the first eye,
Right.
and this goes back to the ignition of core intelligence and connection to the higher force. That without that, I don't care what the fuck people think they know about anything. You don't have that point of navigation to see clear from a 360-degree point of view. And then you get triangulated in upon in terms of these particular types of situations. Um, and in terms of
Yeah.
protocol teaching with the mystery school, um, one of the things that you wanted to um, get into, I think, was how do we actually ward? How do we authentically keep this shit at fucking bay? Right? One thing
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
thing people need to do is start getting fucking focused with an actual path work and stop going hither and thither with all this fucking shit that's flying the fuck out, especially online.
Well,
Okay.
let's talk about that for just a second because we both have some pretty amazing offerings that we want to talk about and ways people can we're helping people get aligned. I mean, me and Sethicus both have literally dedicated our entire existence to this type of work, not only for ourselves but also to help others as well as much as we possibly can. So, we have some really incredible things we want to talk about with you guys and share with you to get into alignment, to internally to preserve, to how to approach psychic self-defense and protection and all of these things. Um, One thing I kind of wanted to talk about with you also is quickly, let's kind of go over, we did talk about triangulation, but I know there's a lot of other ways in which spiritual warfare presents itself in our lives. And I think there's a lot of other ways in which attacks can happen. And I kind of wanted to see if you could speak to that a little bit more, just like in detail of other types of ways, because I wanted to kind of bring up some things that I've become aware of more increasingly.
Well, in terms of psychic warfare, it's your thoughts first and foremost, and then also the emotional charges that you feel surging through your energy bodies on a multidimensional level. Now, most people they're privy to their five physical senses, right? What you smell, what you see, what you taste, touch, hear, right? Most people don't even have the gift of being able to discern frequency, energy, and vibration because they're just pretty much locked down
Yeah.
into the five physical senses, right? The thing though with it is that people do need to pay attention to their bodies because all bodies on a multidimensional level are converging here in this realm on ground level. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, and people can have a different point of view about what I'm about to say, it really doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, we are in the highest realm we could possibly be in because everything converges on the multidimensional level. Why the fuck else will we be here on Earth? Other to actually anchor the higher here and ascend and
Mhm.
course correct the goddamn fucking timeline. But this has never been done on the level. And so when you're presented with the actual fucking reality of what we're up against, this fucking tidal wave of aeons of indifference to the actual soul, it does go back to the crux of the betrayal cycles that happened in ancient
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Okay. And the cause point for why it continues to pull people in, not only is it imprinted within the template of all humans, it's that cause point of where you as an individual are conditioned to betray your very soul.
Yes.
Trade it the fuck out.
Yes. Yes. Now, I want to touch on, do you think this is related to hybridization, traumas, and programs? Because this is what I've come to see a lot is that I feel like it's being, handed down as an inheritance generationally according to contracts of our ancestors and of the forced breeding programs, the hybridization programs, which is where we're actually battling like a percentage of a reptilian
Well,
body within ourselves that wants to consume our own light. Um, and so
right.
that's kind of, yeah,
All,
what
all, all of that is happening interdimensionally, and the way that it happens is through the body. It happens through the body politic on a multidimensional level. So the whole concept of extraterrestrials, they're not out there on other fucking planets and all that shit. They're all
Mhm.
here interdimensionally.
Yes.
And the way that they get in is through, through the gates of perception, specifically when it comes to how people process the gauge of their perception. Okay.
Yeah.
And this also becomes very specific in terms of templating with the individual. Okay. And this is where I take people into the arts, learning how to master the second cosmic law of correspondence, as above, so below. And the as above, so below, again, is the exact same thing as the as within, as without. And as far as I'm concerned, until humanity remembers that the heavens above are within us, we're not going to fucking evolve. You realize that we have been cut off from nature. We have been cut off from the universe. We have been cut off from the higher force. We have been cut off from fucking soul. Because if that wasn't the fucking case, the realm would not be in chaos.
Right.
It just fucking wouldn't. And the ones that are implementing this is what people need to realize. The ones that are implementing this shit are some of the most fucktarded, moronic, low consciousness creatures in the entire known fucking cosmos. I mean, for a seemingly intelligent faction, let's just put it out there, to do what they fucking do is they're fucking retarded, and they need to be seen as fucking retards. Not that they all have all power, and we need to be in fear of what they're implementing. All people need to do is decide to say, no, we're not going to consent. We're not going to agree to this narrative. We're not going to co-sign that. But the thing is, because of how people have been conditioned, and this is a major point, cause point of triangulation, uh, people are conditioned to be pistons in the machine. And then when that is threatened, when the actual truth of what we're talking about comes forward, and now they're faced with the actual fucking reality. Everything that they have built their lives upon, whether, through education, religion, politics, all this first veil shit, they will do everything they can to defend it, because that is their life. That is everything that they have invested in. And how dare anyone come and fucking challenge that? Because when truth comes into a situation, if things are not in alignment and it's not true, it's going to completely and totally obliterate that shit.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I definitely experienced before I really got on track with everything, um, was my life falling apart, being ripped apart at the fucking seams. And at the time, I didn't understand. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of confusion. I didn't understand, why certain things were happening. But it's because my life was not in
Yeah.
alignment to who I truly was on the level, right?
Well, and then you can look back and you can see it after you can get to a certain
Oh
point
yeah,
and you can piece together the things that happened.
yeah,
Specifically for me, because I was on such a mission, grid worker wise, to correct reversal gate systems and also understand them, right? Because for me, it's like, well, I have to understand the mechanics and how this stuff works. Throwing myself into, correcting the reversal gate at the Vatican, I did become spiritually attacked for about a year after
no
that.
shit, no shit.
Yes,
I
yes,
even
and
warned you.
oh yeah,
I even warned
yeah.
you.
Well,
That,
you know what? I this is where I feel like the fear thing. Okay, and this isn't for everybody. Okay, this is definitely for those that have higher level initiations and have definitely worked within the realms that are more challenging. Okay, and have experience, right? So I wouldn't recommend anybody to go do this, of course. But I approached it without any fear.
and that's good.
I feel
That's
like I asked
good.
myself one question: would I die for what I believed in? Like,
Mm,
do I truly believe that um I have the power and I have the ability spiritually to go there and extract the darkness and the evil and transmute it and bring light to this place and help correct these reversal energies? I do believe that we all have the capability to do that if we believe in ourselves enough, right? And it's
yeah, but it's gonna take at least 51% of the population of the entire fucking planet to get a tipping point in terms of leverage and context to that. Until that day happens, everything
yeah.
that we know in terms of contrast will continue.
Well, I really
To
realized
deny
having that
that,
experience, though, how the satanic forces work on you. So what was happening is when I was there, I was getting night terrors and what's it called where they paralyze you? Um,
sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis. I was getting that almost every single night that I was in Rome. And then it happened for an additional 3 months after I came back. And they would come into my dreams and really try to break me down and present themselves in some really crazy ways. One of the things that they liked to do was hold me in suspension off of the floor. So you're in the state of sleep paralysis and they're just holding me up off the floor, basically. So you can't do anything about it. And that's one of the ways that the satanic energies and the satanic forces try to break your spirit down is by consistently attacking you in the astral time and time and time and time again until they can weaken your
Yeah,
forces
and
energetically, emotionally, and spiritually.
right,
Yeah. So
and
I now I see the playing game. So it's really about building some powerful um shields in the astral. But even no matter what you do, I feel like no matter how much you build up your light body, no matter how much you work with the protective forces, we're still at some, I don't know, I don't want to say like a weakness to it, but penetration to it. We can still be penetrated. So it's knowing, it's kind of knowing what can happen and not fearing it. So you have to really change like your mental perspective and you have to be mentally strong to work through it, is what I kind
absolutely.
of perceived
But
with it.
again, mastering cosmic law. The first cosmic law is the law of mentalism. It is all about your state of mind, and they know it's all about our state of mind. One of the main tactics of dark sorcery attacks, whether it be psychic or influence, through the media or whatever, is nerve induction. Okay, understand. The
Mm,
nervous system is the technology we utilize to streamline sound, consciousness, energy, frequency, and vibration into physicality on a multidimensional level. It's not just the five physical senses, right? And people talk about clairvoyance, psychic ability, telekinesis, all of these extra sensory perception, again, abilities that they don't want us to fucking be able to tap into. And then, of course, religion has demonized that shit. It's just demons that
Yeah.
are able to fucking do this kind of, and that's all bullshit because the individual who's templated has a specific ability that, yes, can be ridden in on by these entities or whatever the fuck. Now, people like us are potentially a massive fucking meal ticket. Okay, these motherfuckers
Yes.
are taking the
Yes.
fuck up. I explained a little bit of what I experienced in my shamanic initiation in the last segment on the platform with Black Earth Productions. Um, and I honestly don't think that too many people out there are necessarily having these types of experiences, but those of us that are, stepping onto the front fucking lines, I mean, going to the Vatican like you fucking did, I was like,
Yeah. Who does that, right?
be
There
careful.
was actually another group there, believe it or not. So there are people doing it. The grid worker technology is definitely making its way, you know.
Right. But
Um,
the way we're going to win this war is through education, a reformation in terms of education.
yeah.
Going into the camp the enemy and thinking you're going to like do it like that. You know what I'm saying? You're just setting up a fucking signal for these motherfuckers to come right at you. And I'm not saying don't do that. Don't be bold. Don't be courageous. That was pretty courageous what you did. But look at the result in terms of what you've experienced after a whole
Mhm.
fucking year
Mhm.
of just, you
Well,
know,
I did another reversal one. I threw
okay.
myself into the thick of the fire
And
again
did you
in
go to
Washington,
didn't you go to
D.C.
DC as well? Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
what the fuck are you thinking? You're fucking crazy, man.
Uh,
You're
I
coming
feel
out
like
guns
somebody has
blazing.
to do it.
Okay,
Somebody has
right.
to do it. Somebody, like, we can't just
I agree.
sit back and like do nothing. Like, we have to go and like heal this world. We have to be land shamans and, correct the degradation that's spiritually been imposed upon the consciousness of the earth. Like, I feel like it's our duty, it's our responsibility, and we can't just sit back and do nothing about it. Like I told you before, like, would I die for what I believe in?
Yeah.
Yes, like I believe this is what we should be doing. We should be dedicating our lives to our mission.
Yeah, which we have, but we need to be smart. We need to go with wisdom. Taking this shit the fuck down. Okay. And that's the
Yes,
last thing.
yes. But in a way of peace, right? Like we want to go about it
Yeah,
not in a way where we're condoning any sorts of physical violence, that's for
listen,
sure.
if that's able to happen, but it's not to throw the baby out with the bathwater in context of what I'm talking about. That's the last resort. What's going to bring it again is true education in terms of
Yeah.
what is really going on, how things actually work, how to heal, how to override, how to ward your
Yes.
field and not
Yes.
get wrapped
Yes.
up in the fucking
Yes.
drama and contrast that does sort of want to uh pull you out on a provocation. Never allow the enemy to provoke you into their trap. That's another fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
So when you go out, you got to watch the flanks, read the art of war, all this different kind of stuff. Are we in a war? We are absolutely in a fucking war, and
Yeah.
there are casualties in fucking war. And if freedom is on the line, and again, I'm speaking from a man's point of view, and not some castrated fucking patriarch, fucking pussy motherfucker, a man that knows the fucking difference. You know, the realm will continue to be in chaos on an unconscious
Well,
level,
any time in
but what all
history
of
that
this is
that
rising
we've
up.
gotten any sense of like liberation or freedom, we've had to fight for it.
Right. Right. And where you manifest that first and foremost is your domain. What does your own life look like?
Yeah.
Right? What do your relationships look like? What does the relationship with yourself look like? Right? And if you're dealing with all this stuff, these indiscretions and second guessing and doubting and fear and all that kind of stuff, yeah, it is an indication that you're getting hit. Okay. And not to cosign those narratives. as far as being in denial of it, because the way nerve induction operates and the way shadow also operates, it disguises its thoughts as our thoughts, its feelings as our feelings. We think
Yes.
it's us in terms of
Yes.
assumed identity. And when that identity is confronted at any point of triangulation, it's going to bring up everything that's potentially hooked in within an individual's template and needs to get stacked and burned the fuck out of the template, going into the healing arts and learning how to ward your field, and coming to know again how reality actually works, and also why this is taking place. Okay,
Yeah.
because the whole entire human races all across the board are all being relentlessly attacked, but it's not so obvious. Whereas there's the fucking enemy. No, they've been able to trick people into consenting, bowing the knee
Yes.
for fear.
And that's the satanic ritual abuse and what they do when they have these mass shows and they're, coming out as dressed up as a giant bull or having children in cages where we see these mass ritualizations that are taking
Yeah,
place.
they're just throwing it out there, and
Yeah.
they have to let you know.
Yeah.
That's a part of how they're able to,
Well, one of the
essentially
things that I've been
get
seeing
away with it.
running is like there's multiple negative grids, like just so we have these higher heavens and these higher harmonic universes and these higher earths and these higher dimensions we can access. There's also a very detailed tampered grid network that's running up underneath us as well, infused into us in all dimensions. And that's the thing about spiritual interdimensionality and warfare, is that it's all simultaneously existing with the higher. Okay, but what I've been seeing is like there's different types of grids. One is like a satanic ritual abuse collective grid. There's black
There's
magic cursed
there's
grids.
multiple.
There's artificial intelligent grids. Yeah, there's the Metatronic grid. There's actual grids that hold these realities in the structures themselves. Um, and so they're like collective egregores. They're soul harvesting. And so many people are plugged into these as well that they're filtering through this negative and artificial, you know, structure of a prism in which, they're identifying their reality and, like you said, can't tell the difference. And I think that's one of the ways, like you said, it infuses into the emotions, but I think it's also infusing into the core template.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, to
and
siphon
so
harvest.
yeah, yeah,
This is nothing new. This has been going on however many fucking cycles. How many times has this been attempted? How many times have we even had this conversation? Kind of weird
right.
to
This
think
does feel
about,
like deja vu.
paradoxical type of shit, But I think about this kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Now, you're talking about grids, the
Mhm.
ancient grids. I know this for a fact, that are buried asunder underneath all of the overlays and distortions, net trap snares in terms of grid works of consciousness. Those ancient grids have lit up right underneath our feet. Okay.
Yes.
And are pushing all of this stuff up and out, writhing to the fucking surface so it can be extricated to fucking reality. Okay. But because a lot of people don't understand what it means to be a grid worker, all this different kind of stuff. Again, I've traveled the entire North American continent for over the last, 15 years, going to different places, working to anchor and do things. And it wasn't always successful because of the contrast, because of the things that come up, and then people aren't able to navigate that shit, because again they have co-signed the narrative in terms of identity. What the world is dealing with right now is nothing more than a massive identity crisis, and I'm going to keep on saying this. You don't know who the fuck you are. You don't know what the fuck is really going on. You don't know how things actually fucking work, and you're scathing the surfaces of branches, hacking out the fucking leaves, thinking that you're having an impact, but you haven't even gone to the fucking root of what the hell is really going
Yeah.
on in terms of actual occult proper knowledge and wisdom that reveals the crux of the hour that we are in. Okay. All of it does go back to the betrayal cycle that implemented the fall. I remember
Yeah.
how things were pre-fall timeline. I have memory within my template, the inner knowing, right? And so
When I
growing up,
said to you the fall is a program, does that resonate as any truth to
absolutely.
you? Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. It's something that was implemented onto the consciousness templating of mankind to play itself out again and
Mhm.
again and again and again on a fucking repeat fucking cycle. A skip in the fucking record. That's how these motherfuckers get their harvest. On a drip, like I was talking about. It's not so obvious because they got to keep us alive long enough,
To be
to
a
get
be that food source, yeah.
right, to get that fucking loosh or whatever people want to fucking call it, right? And
So,
and if that doesn't piss people the fuck off, I mean, do you really see yourself like that? How do you see yourself?
right. Are you asking me?
I'm just saying in general to the people that are listening. How do you see yourself? Because recognize you have been conditioned to see yourself as a fucking slave, to see yourself as less than, to see yourself
Yeah.
not capable to rising up above, these certain triangulated fucking equations. But again, you got to know how it works to really be able to do that. Otherwise, when you hit that wall, like I was saying, you get spit the fuck back out. And at that point is usually when people go back into old patterns, old ways of living, old ways of being. They give up. They say this is too fucking hard. This is too much. I can't fucking do it. Okay. And I've been at that threshold many, many, many times myself.
Right, right,
Even this
right.
last year. Even this last year. Hyperdimensional warfare in 2023. Holy fucking shit, man.
Yes. Next
And you were
level.
and you were able to confirm things that you were picking up on, which I can, correlate to what I'm picking up on psychically as well. None of this shit is us. It's not coming from the
Yeah,
soul.
yeah.
It's
Well,
not
and
coming
let's
from the
talk
place.
about that for just a second too, because I think one of the complaints that I've got is that in the spiritual community, right, of healers and people doing this work for services and stuff, there's always this redirecting of people back to themselves. Like you're not doing enough shadow work, you're not going deep enough inside yourself. Um, yes, that's true. That's an imperative part of the process. You have to be doing your shadow work. You have to be redirecting back to yourself, looking at yourself. But there is an outside force that also brings this in.
Right.
That's where I think the denial
Or
is.
is
And
twofold.
that's almost spiritually abusive because there's a lot of gaslighting, there's a lot of not really understanding. And there's also a lot of people existing off of the distortions of spiritual abuse and spiritual lies.
Yeah, they
Okay,
exploit
coming
that.
from healers, and there's a lot of trickery and imposter spirits within that. So
Yeah, a
it's
bunch
really
of
hard for people
pseudo
to navigate it.
shamans, all this fucking bullshit. No, what I implement, the importance in terms of protocol, shadow work, and all that kind of stuff. Again, you got to know what you're getting into in terms of alchemy, alchemical rites of initiation. That comes later. But a lot of people want to jump into that and they don't even have a point of navigation of knowing, first of all, what they're getting into, let alone connection to core intelligence and the higher force. That is the key to everything. And without that, good fucking luck. Good luck.
Yeah. So I want to speak about this a little bit also to the divine feminine. As you know, I'm teaching a course that's coming up here February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of 2024. It's a goddess warrioress boot camp to help the feminine, the divine feminine, with psychic self-defense and protection. Um, and it's interesting, you were telling me about a warrioress tradition. With your ancient bloodline. So yeah, tell us, enlighten us about that.
Right. And it's like I've said before, the warrior and the warrioress need to be standing side by side, not going to war with each other. That's what these fuckers, they
Yes,
want
yes,
men
yes,
at war
yes,
with women, women at war with fucking men. It's divide and conquer. It's fucking programming. It's
yes.
neo-feminist fucking bullshit. Okay? Straight the fuck up.
Well,
Now,
it's the extremisms of both ends.
you
It's the
you
extremisms of both ends, definitely.
want to talk about the warriors tradition. That you know exemplifies itself through and through in terms of the tradition of my ancestors. I think that women should know how to fight. I think that women should
Yeah.
know how to kick ass when they fucking need to. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But recognize who your true enemy is. Okay. Because all I hear from the matriarch is down with the patriarch and all this different kind of shit. Look,
Yeah.
that patriarch that you fucking despise is also what my kind despise as men, because these are nothing more than castrated pieces of fucking shit that worship and serve the dark goddess.
Yeah.
Okay, and you brought that forth a little bit of information, about that inverted fucking womb gate. You know what I'm saying? That it's the complete and total antithesis, the inversion of the actual alignment of reality. But another tactic in terms of hyperdimensional warfare is when they get us divided and conquered amongst ourselves. Gender politics or,
Yes,
whatever
yes.
the fuck, and
It's
it's all
absolutely
nonsensical
right.
adolescent fucking bullshit.
It's so important that men and women cherish each other and work together to build um the unit, the family unit, and
They want to
the
destroy that,
community.
right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the main things. Destruction of the family unit equals destruction of tribe, equals destruction of identity. If you don't know what
Yes.
your blood codes are, if you don't know who your ancestors were, you don't know who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And in the West, with what's been implemented with the religions of the trifecta, you want to talk about triangulation in the West, okay? Those religions tore our people away from what connected us to not only the higher force, but nature and the universe and how things actually work in context. And then it's traded out for all of these things that have been implemented in terms of mind control and programming to see yourself as less than shit itself. Think about it.
Yeah.
What is taught? And you got to grovel for fucking forgiveness and all this fucking bullshit, right? How much more fucking satanic can you get? You want to talk about triangulation factors? It's two sides of the same fucking coin, and that's how the checkerboard mutation, you know what that is, flips on itself in terms of manipulating the spindle of energy force. So you can't even see things for what it is, but then when you recognize Abraxas for what the fuck it is, it's both God and the fucking devil. It's the same fucking entity, and it's the same thing with the Watchers and all these things. This is all a
Yeah.
part of the Metatronics. Okay, and
So
that
really
cue.
at the core of this, we have to really heal the sacred marriages and the sacred unions. We have to learn that, relearn that again as men and women. And I think men and women in general recognize that. I think they really do. I think they want to heal this. Um, I
but
see a
look
lot
at
of
but
people making
but look
efforts
at what
towards
it's up
it.
against.
Yeah,
They don't
true.
want They don't want unity consciousness streamline the reality field on a level, right? And one thing that sort of came up last night as I was going through things, um, how everything's also been thrown into the cauldron of competition instead of collaboration, right? We come together, we collaborate to build something that's greater than the sum of its parts. It's the unity of opposites, right? Because men
Hmm.
and women are fucking opposite. We're opposite creatures. We're not the same
Hmm.
at all. We're all human, right? But the crux of the mystery of the mysteries does go back to that point in the ancient past when that was betrayed. And then we wonder why all the issues and the problems and the bullshit continue to operate on the fucking program. Some people get it together, most people don't, unfortunately, for whatever fucking reason. But what it really boils down to, I think, is, are you connected to you? Are you
Hmm.
connected to core intelligence? Are you connected to the higher force?
Yeah.
Has the first eye cracked open so that you can actually see this shit for what the fuck it is? And then, like I was saying, going into splitting hairs about these sorts of topics, it just fractals out on itself as it's designed to. And then slowly, over time, siphons your energy, siphons your time, siphons your life. And then you just get wore out because nothing's resolved or nothing comes together in the way that you hope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what they count on, because nobody's coming at any of this from a place of core intelligence. And so before even jumping into the deep end or stepping onto the front lines of the fucking war, you have to have a proper foundation. And that's one of the main things in terms of proper foundation is having that connection to the higher force, and also knowing how to ward your field in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So um is the reality of spiritual warfare an aspect of reality? Absolutely. Okay. Is denial in the light community a factor? Absolutely. Because they
Yes.
don't understand what is required to actually ascend. Because
Well, I
the
think
beginners,
more people are paying attention now. I think people are
I'm just
listening right
saying,
now. Yeah.
they've been conditioned in terms of, a lot of what's been
Yeah.
implemented through the New Age movement in terms of spiritual escapism.
I
And
know for
see,
a fact we're speaking to some people's core heart intelligence as we speak today because I can just feel the activations of this conversation and I know that it's rolling into waves of consciousness that's awakening. And cuz I think a lot of people really actually do get it. And so yeah, maybe you can speak to the goddess just a little bit cuz you told me about the maiden warrioress. And
yeah,
so, like, what was her role? Like you said, women should fight with the men, and this goes back to the Amazon warriors as well. Even though there was a rise and a fall of this matriarchal timeline in which the Amazon warrioress basically ruled North Africa and the Mediterranean, but essentially they would fight and battle. They would like ride in on horses. They would fight, um, and so they
well,
would.
when you got some pieces of shit coming in to fucking raid your fucking tribe and kill you, then you gotta fight. I don't care if you're a man, woman, or child, or purple haired fucking monkey, motherfucker. Like I don't care. It's common sense. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And so I'm not opposed to that. What I am opposed though is women against men, men against fucking women. That needs to be transcended if we're gonna have a fucking chance in this realm.
yeah,
That whole fucking social fucking discussion needs to go out the fucking window because it's just doing this. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. It's men, it's women. Oh no, it's all of us because
and what do you think that's
I
gonna
see it.
take is to reestablish more of the traditional
Yeah,
roles with between men and women? I kind of feel,
Take,
um,
taking it back to the original teaching in terms of how things actually work. Because if you violate cosmic law and the alignment of how things actually work, shit goes into fucking chaos. It's a natural recourse. It's cause and effect.
mhm,
It will have its manifestation, and and there's no changing how the objective reality field operates. But if you don't know how it operates, which you were never meant to know, again, occult knowledge, not uh, you know, given to the average individual, then you are caught in that snare of programming, and
yeah,
then you wonder why your life is in fucking chaos. You know,
yeah.
so to the goddess,
Yeah, so speaking to the goddess,
shine.
right? Because women are gonna have a different approach. Women typically don't condone violence. We don't condone physical violence, but there is like an art of spiritual warfare in which all beings, men or women, should be able to learn and to learn spiritual
Look,
perseverance.
I don't condone violence in
Hmm.
context to going out there and
Yeah.
being a fucking piece of shit. But if a certain line is fucking crossed, you better bet your ass I'm gonna put a motherfucker into the fucking ground. And so should anybody else. All these anti-bullying campaigns and like, oh, don't hit him back, Johnny. No, put him into the fucking ground. Because if that continues, they think they can just get away with it.
Hmm.
You understand? I
You have
mean,
to stand and
it's
defend yourself, and it's you
exactly,
have to do it on a spiritual level as well. You have to
defending the,
rebuke. You have to rebuke the energies. You have to cut cords. I mean, how do we do this on a spiritual level? How does the goddess approach the art of spiritual warfare?
it's to stop seeing yourself as less than what you really are, first and foremost. Again, how do you see yourself? Right. And another thing that's happening in the realm is that a lot of the younger generation, a lot of these younger girls are turning into nothing but a bunch of fucking whores online. Okay. That is just fucking insane as far as far as what's happening, right?
Well, the sexualization of the Western culture.
Right.
Yeah.
And and again, it's nothing new. It's just another round. And we're seeing it very, very clear, right? And all of that energy is being harvested as well. Men, men aren't
Yeah.
acting like fucking men.
Mhm.
They're like a bunch of fucking
It's a
beta
purification
fucking incels
process.
that are feeding that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to go off on a tangent, too hard getting into that, you know what I'm saying? But again, this is nothing new. It's just a thing that happens because of the fucking program. Okay. Now, if you're going to transcend the programming, there's a lot of ways to do that. But you really got to know, as far as I'm concerned, what is actually happening in terms of this hyperdimensional war. Okay. And one thing I want to bring up here is the SPEs. Okay. And SPEs are suppressor parasitic entities. Okay. And again, referencing this specifically from the Ascension Glossary. And I'm going to read this. Okay.
Okay.
And I expounded a little bit, so just bear with me here. Okay.
Okay.
Listen to what I'm about to say. This is the crux, you guys. Okay. An SPE is a genetic artificial intelligence that was sent by the quote unquote higher ups in terms of the old ones, right? That which was in the Needlecraft, correct? That Cthulhu shit, like we both know, that were sourced from the trickster imposter spirits and are a type of militarized AI designed to dominate and possess consciousness through mind control and through projection,
Hmm.
nerve induction. They have the ability now to be able to drop thought forms straight into people's central nervous system. That technology's kicked up. I don't know if you've recognized it, but I definitely fucking have. Now, I'm not dealing with having taken the jab or, whatever people want to call it, the needlecraft. But the signaling in terms of what they're sending out to get people to doubt, to fear, to second guess, even, again, especially those of us that know the difference. Like, we know this through and through. Why are we dealing with second guessing or assuming that we're off fucking course or that it is that it's all fucking bullshit? No, these are the tactics, again, like you're talking about, to wear you the fuck down, right? So, um,
Yeah,
this,
looking glass technology. There's something that amplified with that as well. Gang stalking has been coming up a lot.
okay,
I don't know if you've heard of this. A lot of people have been talking about gang stalking and them doing satanic ritual abusive magic in other, countries, and then activating some technology where they're able to tap into it in other locations where groups of them can all kind of feed off of the same interdimensional spy ability and start astrally gang stalking people. Um,
yeah,
so
and
yeah.
it could happen in dream time. It could happen energetically. You don't necessarily know where it's coming from, but it's a question of why. Why are you dealing with all the stuff that you are? It's because you're actually more formidable than you
Mhm.
realize.
I think one of
You're
the things
more,
that really builds your spiritual shield is purification. The stronger and more disciplined and disobedient you can become within yourself, the stronger of a shield you're going to have against the negative forces.
Mhm.
And it's such an imperative part, I think, of building that spiritual armor, and which builds your inner warrior, is to
It's an
become
attitude, man.
purified. Yeah.
It's a fucking attitude. You understand? It's an attitude of don't fuck with me. Like, I'm gonna be cool, but if you if you cross this, certain boundary condition, and all healthy relationships need a boundary condition. It's not just like wide open and our hearts are on our sleeves and all that shit. That's retarded. That's how people get fucked up, man. This is a
Yeah.
sacred thing, man. This means something to me. I'm not just gonna, you know, put that on the fucking chopping block. And neither should anybody else,
Yeah.
you
But
know?
then there's also the need to hold compassion and to hold the heart
Have
open.
compassion for yourself first and foremost, man. And that's
Yeah.
how. That's how, as far as I'm concerned, because because a lot of people would take advantage, to that. If
Yeah.
you're just wide open. And that's what the dark ones also count on, because if you're wide open like that, one of their main targets is the heart. Now you got this squid shit coming out of the hearts of people that took the needlecraft. S- Statistically, over 17 million people, statistically, whether
Yeah.
it's true or not, have fucking died in the last year and a half.
Yes. A lot of people from
Let that sink the fuck
myocarditis.
in, because
Yeah.
you want to continue to placate a fucking fantasy within this goddamn fucking realm and continue to go out into the fucking distractions and all of that shit. You are a part of the fucking problem. And so people like us, like me and Amanda and other people that fucking get it, are calling all of you motherfuckers out in context. Look, it's not going to get better. It's going to continue to get worse. And we need to pull our heads out of the fucking clouds in terms of, of this fantasy land fucking bullshit and really see what's going on. So to continue here, this is a militarized psychotronic warfare technology that is primarily sourced from the Orion groups. And you know exactly what that means, right?
Yes.
And also the consultorium of the Black Sun program, which all goes back to the cult of Aton and Set Typhon, okay, which has its roots on Earth to the Sumerian Draconian Empire. Where did they first start genetically modifying the human races? In
Hmm.
Sumeria.
Right.
It's the
So
same
you're calling
fucking
them
goddamn
Sumerian
playbook.
Draconian. You're calling them Sumerian Draconian versus Sumerian Anunnaki. Or they're just
That's
Sumerian Draco Anunnaki,
that's
basically.
it's all the same shit.
All the
Whether it's
same.
Omicron, whether it's Odedicron. They're all part of the same fucking agenda. They might fight
Hmm.
amongst themselves or whatever the fuck.
Okay. Yeah.
Take it back to World War II as a war of dictators and stuff like that. Humanity's thrown on the fucking middle. They threw the fucking dice to see whether it was communism, fascism, or socialism was going to rule the fucking day. What have we got now? Communism. These left wing fucking pieces of shit. Okay. And all of their traditions and contexts go back to this. All of it. It's just a repeat. That's all they fucking have. They don't have anything beyond it. They can't even operate any other way because they're fucking programmed as well. They're programmed to self-destruct. Evil contains within it the seed of its own destruction, just like Michael Tessarion has said. And all we need to do at this point is, like I said, stand your ground, continue to inform, and navigate through these times,
Yeah.
because it is a great time to be alive otherwise, knowing the difference, right?
Yeah. So continue to educate yourself on spiritual warfare, hyperdimensional warfare, psychic self-defense. And people want to be like, oh, well, we don't want to have to defend ourselves. We're tired of warfare. Well, there's this is just beginning.
I get it.
Warfare is just getting started on the planet. Like it's exponentially expanding, including
Well,
more and more countries worldwide that are going to war.
yeah.
And so it's like we have to start preparing ourselves. I almost feel like we have to start prepping for civil wars. Like we got to go all the way
There's
at
people who
this
have been
point.
talking about this ever since, I quote unquote awakened in this fucking lifetime. We need to prepare. We need to prepare. We need to, fucking, dig bunkers and all this shit. If people want to do that, okay,
Mhm.
that's your prerogative.
The people who
But,
are about
but
that life.
recognize, but recognize how we're actually going to win this war without a fight. That's what this is, a militarized psychotronic warfare technology. Again, the weapons technologies, right? That's what's kicked up. That is primarily sourced from the Orion Group Consortium, Consortium. That's how you say that word. Consortium of the Black Sun program, Cult of Aton, Set Typhon, which has its roots on Earth to the Sumerian Draconian Empire. They are mind and body parasites that can be individual or in clusters that attach to the bioneurological system and are a mind control technological warfare. It has been observed that after a sequence of deeper layers of infection in the light body, right, the SPE will harvest genetic material out of the human DNA to make a type of cyborg, human 2.0,
Mhm.
transhuman timeline, right? The SPE will harvest genetic material out of the human DNA, again, to make a type of cyborg. This is obviously part of the transhuman agenda to create cyborgs in the human population through AI. And those that took the needlecraft are no longer classified as human by the Supreme Court. That's another factor in terms of their legislation. So everyone essentially gave their rights being human away, according to what they said. But that's just their
Wow.
opinion. It's just an opinion. I'm not saying that that's actually true, but think about it in terms of what's being implemented, right? This is how it's warming its way in. It's how it's burrowing the fuck in terms of the unconscious, subconscious mind field. Again, identity, right? You're no longer human, according
Mhm.
to the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have human rights,
And to further
basically.
be used for a variety of purposes. Okay, so I'll say it again. Those that took the needlecraft are no longer classified as human anymore by the U.S. Supreme Court, and to further be used for a variety of purpose of whatever they are programmed to. Okay. It appears as well that through insertion of holographic images, holographic inserts, that's another term that I think we both know, with the intention to control the individual's consciousness, the SPE can also create a sort of astral delusion that the person believes is real by becoming obsessed or addicted to it, which is what attaches them to the lower astral grid works even harder and acts as a consciousness and acts as a consciousness net trap and snare. SPEs specifically are ultra aggressive AI parasites that invade the central nervous system. Like I was saying, nerve
Mm.
induction,
Mhm.
graphene oxide wrapping itself
Yeah.
around the literal nervous system itself to monitor a person's thought patterns so that they can mimic them on the surface while laying dormant to be undetected. Right? They're being ridden in on. Right? Um, they monitor thought patterns and emotional behaviors and search for weaknesses with the human host so that they can aggressively use those weaknesses against the person to potentially plummet them into very low frequency and vibrational thought forms, which feeds the predator mind of the old ones.
Mm.
And when a person has weak spiritual, energetic development, weak moral character, and along with the weak mind, okay, this makes it much easier for the AI parasite to control the human being and dark
Yeah.
prepare the body for dark force impostor or trickster spirit possession. And so that's the summary
That
of
sums it
what
up. Yeah, you summed it up
is
well.
really going
That really sums it up. I mean, that's exactly what's going on. Even when I do Draco seal removals, because I do those now. I'm constantly working on the central nervous system, the 10th vagus nerve, the spinal column, to alleviate parasitic energy, but just blockages in general. And there's such a vast level of holographic planetary weaponization that these beings, because they've been at it for so many thousands of years, that were pre-set up to come into experience these holographic interdimensional planetary warfare. uh, it's like a universal imprint in which they already are controlling the base templates within the astral. Okay, so
it's the lower astral
there's,
works.
or yeah, lower astral, but it's like one thing I see is like a swastika. So they've installed like an artificial rotating swastika
Yeah,
between
yeah.
our connection to the metagalactic core. They basically the Dracos really like to distort things with time, and put a lot of
Swastikas to do with the whirling force of creation. Now, if that's twisted on a reversal
it's twisted on a
spin,
reversal, basically. Yes,
if
it's
it's
twisted on a
twisted on a
reversal.
reversal, it it's like a vortex vacuum into the fucking abyss.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Because
Um,
the swastika is actually a very sacred symbol.
yes, I know that. I know that. But
So,
they've corrupted it. They've definitely corrupted it, and they want to disconnect us from galactic synchronization.
right.
So there's planetary pole modification that they were already manipulating. Um, the Baphomet fields and the Baphomet realms and the satanic realms. I mean, this is really what holds true to the negative monetary system. The whole,
Back to set type on
yeah,
specific
yeah. But
tracks.
those are Draco seals. They have seals. They literally have seals in the buildings themselves, like the Treasury building. Like
Yeah,
this is
it's
one of the
fucking
things we see.
wild.
We've seen an entire Baphomet seal network holding stuff in place there, guarding it, protecting it even.
Yeah.
So it was,
And again with the Baphomet, it's also how they demonize the goat, which is a very sacred symbol, especially in terms of my ancestors and my people and my lineage specifically. It pisses me the fuck off. Otherwise, knowing the difference in terms of this dynamic, because the Baphomet, again, that people think is the Baphomet is not the real Baphomet. That's a front, and you don't know what the real fucking Baphomet actually is. I'm not saying that that's not a factor. Okay.
Mhm.
To bypass, anyone's, point of reference, you just have to recognize that there is more beyond the surface of what any of us, even at this point,
Yeah.
have come to know. More is going to continue to be revealed, right?
Yeah. Well, and
But
that's one of the reasons why I've taken to implant removal as a practice, as a spiritual practice, because I feel that
you know,
um, sacred symbols, sacred artifacts, just holographic images, everything can present or manipulate itself and stick inside your field, basically. And we're open to this 24/7, being reimplanted, being reconnected back into those uh, degradational grid matrices and templates that run up underneath us that will plug us back into a whole implant system all over again. And it just takes falling unconscious. It just takes being impacted by satanic spirits that are feeding off of you and want to attack you and get in between all of your triangulation and relationships.
yep.
And then you get plugged back into these things and don't even know it again. And then you have to re-go through implant removal. That's kind of one of the reasons why I've dedicated myself to it so much, is because I don't think people realize how extensive the universal
And
implant
that's
systems is just the planetary bodies dealing with, let alone us on an individual human level.
yeah. And doing that for people, I'm wondering at this point what the actual success rate has been in terms of that. Can you share a little bit?
Yeah, well, that's why I moved it into coursework, because what I decoded after doing, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of J seal removals is I started to decode more universal seal systems and implants that ride with those. And so I started seeing one in each timeline, an entire implant system that's in the Lemurian system, an entire implant system that's in the Atlantean, entire implant system that's in the Aryan timelines. And so the success rate would be to ultimately have the removals, whether you do them with someone or whether you self-remove, either way is fine, just as long as you feel like you're doing a thorough job
Yeah.
and you're feeling the release of this. Then move it into learning how to really do it yourself by having all of the information, like understanding the root of it. Where did it come from? How does it get here? How does it get blocked? Once you have all the pieces and you know what everything means, you build very, intricate psychic depth perception in which you're able to read it now, and you can see holographically as well. It develops your ability to also see. But yeah, so I cultivated it and restructured everything and turned it into a course so that everyone could just get all of the information and learn how to do all of the types of seal removals. And whether you start to see other types of implants and seals, I mean, yes, there's more. I mean, it's infinite, just the same as the creational realms are. I mean, anything that could be created could present itself in an implant form one way or another.
Yeah, just my thing personally, as far as the structure of the school and how I approach the healing arts, I do have the ability to do healing on people, But I've also experienced situations where I'm not even fucking allowed to touch whatever the fuck someone else is dealing with because they need to fucking heal it. Even if I had a good intention, right?
Mhm.
I think that, assisting individuals is very fucking important. But like you just said, people need to get on their own track with this shit and realize that
Mhm.
they do have the ability themselves to tap their template and to route this shit the fuck out, stack and burn it the fuck out of your template. The
Yeah.
thing though with a lot of these situations is that there is an assumed identity attached to it. And that's why people are in fear because you feel like you're gonna fucking die, basically. You know who you've been conditioned to be in terms of that identity.
I
Okay,
think people have lost
but
their ability to exercise divine commandment. Like
what
like
do you
they
mean?
don't feel they
Divine?
have any authority in the spiritual realm. Well, you damn well do. You have the ability to
Right?
authoritatively command your own field and command your own blueprint and command your own manifestation template.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's what people need to build. That's what I try to do. I try to help people with connecting in that courage and that ability to see that their words, that their intention, that their desire, that their needs are spiritually reflected back to their selves from their higher selves, and that they have the ability to, command whatever they want into existence. It's just, do you trust yourself? Do
Right.
you trust source? And this is
Do
what's
you
been
even know
broken.
who
This
the
is what's
fuck
been
you are?
broken.
Do you even know thyself?
Yeah.
Really think about it. Do you know who you truly are?
Yep. It
And
starts with that.
most people don't. And when the true identity, in terms of the true will igniting within the template, starts to reveal itself, that's when the malware, in terms of the programming, kicks the fuck in terms of fear. You've been conditioned to be afraid of who the fuck you really are, motherfuckers. Why is that? Because that's what the dark ones fear. So again, fear
Yes.
being one of the main tactics of hyperdimensional war is nothing to do with core intelligence or the human soul whatsoever. So anytime that is happening, you're out of alignment. You're not in alignment. It's bollocks. It's total fucking bullshit. And you're totally correct in terms of what you're saying. And getting into the practice of evocation, making declarations and speaking things on
Mm-hmm.
purpose. This goes back to the heart because your tongue, and I've been teaching this, for quite a while now, is directly connected to your heart. If you want to see anyone's process at any given time, pay attention to their communication. They realize also all of us all the time are always telling on ourselves. You ever notice that about yourself or other people that you're just chiming in on a conversation or throwing a podcast or whatever the fuck? And just observe it. They're letting you know exactly where they are in
That's
terms of
true.
the gauge of their perception to process and how they're navigating their experience to that gauge. Now, whether it's skewed or in alignment or whatever, that goes into speculation, right? How do we actually know the difference? Well, again, proper knowledge and wisdom, having the right foundation. But I think that's very powerful. Um, having the ability to actually remove this shit and give people
Mm-hmm.
a bit more clarity so they can start navigating themselves and start catching it themselves, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But what you said, what you mentioned, about how there are, people out there that are exploiting people's woundedness in terms of being quote unquote fucking healers, man. It's like the dark accident in terms of the cult of the medics. There is no profit in health. Keep them sick,
Mm-hmm.
keep them
Mm-hmm.
coming. You don't want people to become dependent upon, things, but actually getting viable results. And
Yeah.
then, and then their life starts to become an example, and then it's going out like that. You know what I'm saying?
The goal is to move people into their own mastery, but it takes time. It
It
takes
takes years.
time.
It can even
Yeah.
take lifetimes.
Yeah.
Lifetimes even. Think about how long it's taken to get here. How many lifetimes has it taken to get to these moments that we are in right now? It's taken fucking aeons.
It's a
And we're still
beautiful thing at the same time, isn't it?
right. It is. Right, because in the face of the contrast, you have to recognize why it's happening. It's because we are making a fucking dent. People are waking the fuck up.
Mhm.
I don't care how it looks on the other side of the equation. I will never co-sign that fucking narrative in terms of my own life and what I will experience otherwise in the face. Even if the world burns down to fucking ash, I'll still be fucking standing. How about you? Will you still be standing on the other side of that, or anybody else? Or are you going to cave into fear and just let
Mhm.
this devouring force, this parasite, come in and just fucking take it all? What rightfully belongs to you, which is your life, your soul, your birthright in terms of incarnation. Fuck these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And that's the attitude of the fucking warrior, the
It
warriors.
is. I was just gonna say you're channeling the warrior right now. He's coming through.
I'm holding back. I'm like, this is like 5%, Amanda. This is nothing. I'm trying to have like a corso conversation without like just blah.
Yeah.
But that fire, it's the fire of life that ignites. That's
Mhm.
what they want to kill.
Yeah.
That zest, that passion, that fucking goddamn drive to rise with the sun every morning and have a sense of meaning and purpose to your existence
Mhm.
and not live in fear
Yeah.
of this
And
or that or
so
whatever.
many people, we're trying to help them get back there. Really, really, truly. And you do this by blackearthproductions.com. So you have an adept initiatory process in which
Yeah.
you do this.
Services page directs people specifically to the mystery school. I recommend level one apprentice. That's an entire curriculum. I do one-on-one mentorship with I do one-on-one mentorship with people. I work with people one-on-one. Um, and the reason why I approach it like this is because how specific it is to an individual's templating. It's not a one size
Mhm.
fits all here,
Yeah.
but based upon universal laws of metaphysics, the eternal axioms, how things actually work. Okay, how does that operate with you as an individual? Now, we have similar templating, I would say, with the water element specifically, right? And going back to psychic ability, how do you deal with being psychic? I mean, seriously, let's talk about that for a minute because God damn it, I just wish that sometimes I could just turn it the fuck off and not be able to detect or know any of this fucking shit and just, you know, be normal. But we didn't we didn't get that here. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, how do you go about navigating these experiences? You're obviously getting insight that I can confirm, so you have that ability. How is it though that at the same time having this ability, being able to discern, being a seeress, being a seer, also recognizing how much static there is within the psychic field. How do you actually know if something's true or not, as far as what you're picking up on?
Yeah. Um, well, of course there's moments that I question, you know, if what I'm getting is true or not. I would say mostly though, I trust everything that comes to me. I really do. I trust it. And in terms of, I guess, in terms of navigating my own personal life, there's definitely, you have to sometimes, I wouldn't say turn it off. Like, I don't know if you really, I don't think I ever really turn it off, but
Well, you
when you're
can't,
around certain
you really
people,
can't turn it off. That's
yeah, but when you're around certain people, they can't understand it, they can't mirror it, and they just can't participate with what you're saying, right? Like it's just it's overwhelming, it's too much, they just can't go there. So sometimes around some people, like you do have to keep things to yourself, right? Like and kind of navigate off of And it's difficult because you really kind of know what they're thinking. You really know what they're feeling. You really know deeper levels of what their subconscious and even their higher selves is going through. But you have to keep it in a framework of that human interaction in which is respectable to their inner privacy, right? Because you can't, it's like there's like still laws and rules, like you can't just like bombard their inner world. So yeah, I wouldn't say I ever turn it off, but I definitely suppress it sometimes um around some people and around some relationships that I have. But when it comes to my work, when it comes to grid work, when it comes to my clientele, um, I just let that, I open it up. I completely open it up and
You
just,
just let it fly, right?
mhm,
Because
yeah,
they're there and they want to know, right?
yeah.
I swear to the gods, though, man. There have been times where I'm picking up on stuff and I'm gritting my fucking teeth, not saying shit because I know it's not going to be heard, it's not going to be acknowledged, it's not going to matter,
Mhm.
right? And that's another part of the warfare factor, the fact that those of us that have these extrasensory abilities can pick up on what's happening with other fucking people, and they don't even fucking know it. How the fuck can they not know it?
Yeah.
Blows my fucking mind.
I'll tell you what, it does come in handy when you're playing poker. Because I can read a table so good.
Cosmic culture, right? You gotta
Yeah.
ante up, motherfuckers.
Yes.
You gotta
Yes.
ante up. You
I
gotta
usually
level
can read
up.
someone's hand. I can read their hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But
Protecting the
no.
aces. We
Yeah.
all got aces.
Yeah.
All of us.
I know who's got the ace for sure.
So anyway.
Uh, I love it. I love it so much. I love to develop it. I love to work with it. I love to practice my remote viewing. I think a lot of people think that it just comes easy and it's just, I think it was something I've always had, but it had to be developed to the degree that I use it now. And that's come through a lot of self-development, um, and education and understanding my own mind and how things work. And so it's taken time really to get to where I am, especially
Yeah.
with remote reading the grids and stuff like that. So even though I may make it look easy sometimes, which it is easy to me now, it wasn't always that easy. And it was something that, was developed through
Yeah.
interacting with a lot of psychic people throughout the years, everything, having my own teachers and way showers, it took me really studying remote viewing, honestly, and the technicalities of it, because I'm a very analytical person at the same time. Like I do like to get all the information. So studying remote viewing and how we use different areas of the mind to put together total vision, psychic vision, how it's about imagery, it's about imagination, it's about memory recall, it's about accessing every single part of the mind to put together total psychic vision. And so,
And see,
yeah.
mind is much more than what people actually realize. And some of the things that you just mentioned do correlate what mind actually is. It's not just this squishy thing in your fucking skull. That's not even what mind is. Okay. The brain is what I term the radar of mind. Okay. Take it back to the nervous system, central nervous system, parasympathetic, all this different kind of stuff. That technology does have a direct effect on how our thought and emotion operate, the gauge of our perception, and also why we react and respond the way that
Mhm.
we do in terms of our template. The gauge of your perception could be completely different than somebody else's, vice versa. You know what I'm saying? This is why a lot of people also have issue and problem not necessarily seeing eye to eye because they're so fucking fixed on their fucking point of view, triangulated in upon. You got the split down the fucking brain or whatever the fuck. That's another factor that's manifested via the cataclysm. You can take it back also to the atlas parallax bone on the back of the skull that rests
Mhm.
at a 23.4-degree axis, which ironically is the tilt of the Earth,
Which bone is
pulling
that?
pulling on the nervous system, causing deregulation in context of how our thought and emotion operates. So It's a cause point for being polarized within the framework of your biology on account of the cataclysm. This is another challenge. And I had a chiropractor tell me that took initiation a while ago, and I speak about it because it's just fucking mind blowing. That there are certain factors within our biology, physically speaking, that are already offset the
Mm-hmm.
alignment of what the birthright requires. And so going through this process integration of healing and stacking and burning this shit out of our fucking templating, another thing that comes up, not just fear, but pain, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, temporal challenges, pain, actual fucking pain. And a lot of people have been conditioned to avoid pain at all costs. Again,
Yes.
chasing the pleasure principle, going into the all the routes and distractions in terms of escapism, instead of seeing that corridor of fucking pain as the path to liberation and actual fucking healing. Because if we can't embrace the pain, we're not going to win this game, so to speak, that's being
Well,
played
and
on.
the more you avoid it, the weaker it makes you as on a soul level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, who wants to fucking go through that? Anyone want to sign up? Well, if you want total and complete liberation and freedom and true empowerment, whether you're a man or a woman or whatever, then there's a specific path work this entails, and there are certain protocols that are required, certain things that you're going to have to do that are going to be difficult, that are going to challenge you, that are going to force confront the programming and all of this different kind of stuff. But I but to what's on the other side of the equation, the remembering in terms of who you truly are, your connection to the higher force,
Mm-hmm.
and that power to not just navigate these times, but master what it means to be human and not
So, and I love that.
operate
I love
and
that. I
not
want to try
operate
and
like a fucking slave.
wrap it up just a little bit here,
Yeah.
though. Maybe let's end it on the note of like, where can people, and I have an answer for this as well, but I think a lot of people watching might want to know, where do I start trying to know myself or find myself and find my identity? Because that
Mm,
it comes back, it really does come back to that as the base. Okay. For me personally, it wasn't until I had access to the cosmic realms and I
mm,
got more of my galactic identity that I started to know who truly I was. I had to get the cosmic
yeah. And that
intel first.
yeah, and that's all a part of things in terms of what I call the galactic spirals of creation. But when it comes to the solar spiral of creation and where we are in terms of this realm and where we stand, we also have that in terms of templating. Okay. And I've mentioned it many times before. There are three spirals of creation. There's the solar, the galactic, and the universal. Right now, the galactic stuff, I can get into my galactic templating,
Mhm.
um, and all of it is very real. Just on a note, and I'm not saying this about you, but a lot of people out there that are privy to that, um, as a cause point of spiritual escapism into another realm, don't recognize again why we're here. And again, it's the master being human, and to anchor that here. It's to anchor everything here within
Mhm.
this realm. Okay, if humans are at the spear tip of evolution in terms of our true potential, and not being overridden by mind control, AI parasite, and all the things that we touched upon, where you begin to know thyself all goes back to blood, first and foremost. And I'm talking about here, right? Your
Mhm.
family lineage, the
Yes.
bloodlines that you incarnated, right?
Yes.
And how all of that correlates to the ancient traditions and context to animism. Everything has essence, everything has spirits, everything is alive, is breathing, is moving, and having its recourse in terms of life. um but you ask the average individual, who are you?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it does go back to an experience I had when I was just in grade school. What do you want to be when you grow up, kids? The teacher gets up in assembly. What do you want to be when you grow up, kids? Fireman, policeman, doctor, nurse. All my peers are jumping up around me. I remember sitting there going, I don't want to be any of that. Wait a second. What the fuck is going on here? What is this? And again, with my ability, my discernment, I could see how my peers were already at that age starting to be indoctrinated to be Pistons. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doctors and nurses and mechanics and all the different offices and positions in the world, right? But I remember sitting there, I don't want to be any of that. Wait a second, who am I?
Hmm. Why?
And that question, right? And that question has always been with me. And I discovered how to go into the knowledge that reveals that. And that's what I get into in terms of level one apprentice. Not just the arts, as far as learning how to master the law of correspondence, but also protocol teaching. Things in terms of the trivium, the quadrivium. This was taken out of education. Like, I don't know, it was like 100 years ago, where it used to actually be a part of the public curriculum. People learning how to actually learn, right? Things correctly. So that's also a part of things in terms of laying the proper foundation, learning how to master the first cosmic law, so that you can navigate the knowledge that you will come into that reveals the answers to that type of question. And again, everybody's template is different. Astropsychology, tarot, alchemy, numerology, and there's so many other things as well. The different systems of gnosis that reveal these amazing things about who we are.
Hmm.
And when you really go into it authentically, you can't make this shit the fuck up, man. I mean, it's absolutely mind blowing to me.
Yeah. Well, it's so important because it really builds a foundation for you to exist off and upon,
Yes.
right? That's what's missing is the foundation. And so
Mhm.
you can't build anything, you can't anchor anything, you can't move directionally if you don't know who you are, because you can't even see the future timelines. And you have to be able to have connection and vision and clarity into that as well. So
Right.
everything builds upon the next thing within your own internal development. But yeah, that's so fundamental. So yeah, I agree
One,
so much with that.
yeah, one thing I want to mention in terms of blood codes, when it comes to the ancestors, when it comes to gods and goddesses, different pantheons of different, you know, tribes of the ancient past, that is also who we are in terms of identity. And that's why it's so powerful. Another technique that people can implement, um, as far as what I'm sharing and what I take people into, is knowing how to assume the archetype, right? I encourage women to work with goddess archetypes and men also to work with the god archetypes. Um, find one,
Yes, yes.
not to worship and bow down to
Hmm.
and make sacrifice to, but to be inspired by, right?
Hmm.
Not to, glorify as something that you need to grovel and beg for its fucking forgiveness. No,
Well, this is something we're going to
it's the
focus on
lesson.
in the
It's the lessons of
coursework.
it. Right.
Yeah, the Goddess Warrioress bootcamp that we're going to do. We're going to really focus on helping the goddess build her inner warrioress. And by doing that, decorate the light body, decorate it with shields and sacred relics and your guardians and even weapons, even tools if you need them,
Yeah.
right? The sword of truth or whatever it is you want to utilize, but you can install this into your field to strengthen the inner warrioress, to strengthen the inner goddess, to move with more agility and more adaptability and more dynamic aspects of your strength that's cultivated. And so I think that's going to be a big focus in the coursework that we're going to do. It's like helping the goddess to, for one,
Definitely.
know thyself, but also
Yeah.
um, enjoy the process of creating who your inner warrioress is.
Mhm.
And I think that's a special thing that I'm excited to share with everyone.
One
Can't
thing
wait.
that I encourage people to do is make an altar. Okay. Create a sacred space for yourself. Have an altar and put things on the altar that remind you of not only what it is that you want to be experiencing, but things that inspire you, things that uh you want to emulate. And it's like a vision board, right? Those things are
Mhm.
fucking crazy, by the way. I've done vision boards before, and that's a technique that actually fucking works. It takes a little bit of time, but just on a side note, okay? But having an altar for yourself, that every time you go to the altar and you're in this sacred space, you are assuming that archetypal consciousness within your template. And it's meant to be an inspiration, right? Not like I'm the goddess, all of you need to worship me, or I'm the god. It's that's all fucking king of tyranny fucking bullshit. That's how
Yeah.
that's how they twist the codes, right? So many things I could say, but that's one of the main techniques as far as working with archetypal consciousness. But I'm not the type of person that's going to say, if you're a Carpathian white man like myself, to work with African archetypes, right? Or Native American, or Chinese, right? People in the West, and I'm talking about Carpathian whites. There's the Caucasus as well, and then the discrepancy with Samaria and all this shit. Okay, that's a whole other fucking topic of conversation I can get into. But the tradition of our ancestors, and the things that have been implemented as far as the mythos and stuff like that. Some would even say that the gods were human, that these were actual people that existed during the Hyperborean and Polarian timelines, which is pre-Atlantis and Lemuria. It's even more fucking ancient. I mean, it's and even going back to Maldek and Tara, like fucking a. Our occult history is so unbelievably fucking vast, and you want to,
Mhm.
just sort of park it, at that point of Atlantis and Lemuria. And I'm not just saying you, but even me, I can kind of hang out on
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think it's a framework and what's most relevant to
It is.
people. I
It's
mean, even Lemuria for some people is like, what? What's that? So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
For me personally, in terms of this realm and this timeline, it does go back to Kemet. It does go back to the crux of the procession and the betrayal cycles and my memories of that shit, and even the things that I've shared with you. Because we're talking about identity, right? So you're getting things on a galactic level, right? I'm having things being revealed to me when it comes to my bloodlines. I mean, just like shit that you can just like be wrestling with. Like, how the fuck can this be true? Is this actually true? Is it?
Mhm.
Or are we just making this up? How the fuck can we be making it up when the evidence is clear otherwise? And then you go into second guessing. Then you go into doubting. Then you go into, again, warfare, psychological warfare,
Mhm.
spiritual warfare. They don't want us to remember who we are, because a man or woman that knows who the fuck they are cannot be fucked with, cannot be mind controlled, can't be tricked, can't be, drawn out on a provocation, because you know their tactics. And when we make our strikes, they don't see it coming, and they won't see it coming as far as I'm concerned. So, you got me ranting. This, I think, is a great topic. I don't know if you want to keep going, but
Yeah. Well, this has been a good
yeah,
conversation today. I feel like we've covered a lot of bases. Obviously, we can come back and probably pick up where we left off and going down 10 other wormholes. So it's always a pleasure to talk with you and bring in your insight. I felt like your insight was going to be good and necessary, especially with the direction that I'm going with the Goddess Warrioress Bootcamp training that I'm doing. So I think it's to bring that realism of what we're really dealing with and have that offering open to those that feel like they're ready to kind of step into this level of mastery. And
yeah.
so, yeah, if anyone's interested in taking a look at the course that I have coming up, it's at learn.indigoangel222.com. And then if you also want to leave the links or let everyone know how they can find your adept training.
Everybody head on over to the website at Black Earth Productions with a Z at the end.com. Click on the services page. That is, the framework of what is offered with the mystery school. And it's not just level 1 apprentice, also advanced, initiation as far as Ulfadnar training, which does get into learning how to master the art of hyperdimensional warfare. But level 1 apprentice is required before level 2 adept can be gone into, because you got to go through this whole process of discovering, not just what it means to lay the proper foundation and embrace the healing arts and all this different kind of stuff. If you're running out on the front lines and you're all jacked up and you're fucking wounded, they're gonna psychically hone the fuck in on your ass and you're fucked at that point. So, it's not to, bypass anyone's fire or flame, but you gotta know thy enemy, but even more know thyself.
Yes.
Because if you know
Yes.
thyself and you know thy enemy, there is no battle, there is no fucking war, there is no trial that you won't that you won't potentially overcome. So it's the systematic, curriculum, and it does take time.